Welcome to the Grow Your Business podcast. Listen in as we discuss all things business, growth and marketing with business owners, thought leaders and entrepreneurs. And now, here's your host, founder of Roundhouse, the creative agency, Saul Edmonds.
Hi everyone and welcome to the Grow Your Business podcast. This is episode number 1 and today's episode is entitled 9 Ways to Grow Your Small Business in 2020. My name is Saul Edmonds and today I'm joined by Roundhouse co-founder Gillian Smith.
Hello everyone and good morning, Saul.
How are you today?
I'm very good. Well, today, guys, we have put together a list of 9 ways to help your small business grow, to get more customers, be more productive and increase your business profitability this year.
Okay, so what are these 9 points, Jill?
Okay, well, the first point that we're going to talk about is, and first recommendation that we have is to set clear goals as regards to your profits.
Yeah. Okay. So that's so who would you say are some of the people that you would use in your business to actually help you think about that?
Well, if it's your business, you would do the primary thinking regarding what your goals you have for your profits.
Yeah, that's right. And then you've got other people that can be really advantageous for that, for having external mentors, or consultants to actually help you get clear. Because I think the key word there is to get clear on it then too.
So you want to be, I guess, often in business and in many things in life, you can be a little bit vague. So I want to grow the business. But it's much easier to hit a target if you be very clear. I want to increase my revenue on $100,000 as it was last year. I want to increase it by, I want to get more clientele from social media. So you set very clear goals and then, okay, building on that, I want to get more clientele from social media, but how much more clientele?
Yeah.
Do I want to win, 3 or more customers per month? How is that going to work?
Yeah, and then also being very specific, and that can actually lead to one of the good things about that, the good and I guess sometimes the bad things is that being specific can then highlight whether that's going to be realistic for you or not and what you actually need to do for that. So with that in mind, what's the second point?
Well, the next one recommendation we have is to find new ways to do outreach and new ways to connect with your audience.
Yeah, so then you've got things like, I guess a key thing there too, when you're starting that sort of approach is to examine what you're currently doing too, because then unless you've got a good, clear, once again, specific list of what you're currently doing, you can't really move forward then to go, okay, well, this is what we've been doing. Here's our general success rate. Now, for us to improve upon that, what are we going to do in terms of outreach? And what are some of the, just a few key points for outreach?
Well, I think everyone has to, my advice is to have outreach uppermost in your mind at all times, because incoming clientele is determined by outreach. Okay, the more that you connect, the more that you are prominent within people's minds when they're at the buying point of the cycle, because of course, mostly people aren't at the buying point of the cycle. They may be at that point in a few months' time or in an emergency situation, if you're a plumber, for example, or when they're ready to buy a new car. So it's all different, depending upon your business, it's different points of your cycle, but it's very important to find new ways to connect. And of course, social media, video content is more important than ever today, isn't it, Saul?
Yeah, and so with that point on outreach as well, would you say that like the purpose of then outreach, a key thing that you tapped into there is that outreach is not only about the immediate, but it's also about then the long-term goals of what might happen. It's like having very specific targets, but then at the same time also having long-term goals for building up a network over time through outreach as well.
It's ultimately about nurturing relationships and creating those relationships. So existing customers and new customers. So this podcast is called Grow Your Business because growing your business really is like tending a garden. You need to constantly be looking after it, cultivating it, and that's really a really good metaphor.
Yeah, I think that nurturing is the perfect word for that too. So with that, what's number 3?
Okay, well, next thing is we advise people to consider the bigger picture of where your business resides within. So the overall arching place of where your business fits in, and through that, you've got, you're very experienced and you have a lot to offer. And so, you're a thought leader to start thinking of yourself in those terms and to connect with other thought leaders and put your ideas out there, because people will appreciate that.
Yeah, that's right. And being a thought leader is, of course, it doesn't mean that just because you say that you're a thought leader that you are, that there's different interpretation for what that actually means. But I think most commonly there's still things where people are looking to you as somebody who is widely respected, knows what they're talking about, has the experience also to support that too. But that's one of those long-term things that you can start to, using that same word again, to
I guess a
nurture.
2020 goal also is to, get in. This is long-term. So if you really want to get your business to the, whatever your specific goals might be, there is no limit, but you really have to think long-term, but then in step by step by step. Okay, so next we're on to number 4, and that is a very important point that I very much take to heart, which is to think about marketing as education and information. Marketing is not selling.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that, Saul?
I think most people will go, what are you talking about? Of course, marketing is selling, but no one wants to be sold to. So no, that's right.
It's
so
reimagining those terms.
Yeah, so there's a difference then between, selling and educating, obviously, too, because people want to, if they're coming to, anyone, maybe with the exception of, buying a product online, but even then, people want to understand. They want to, it's still all about trust. So ultimately, if you're taking the time and there's the perception from the end buyer who's going to acquire your services or what you're selling as a product, they want to feel comfortable and they want to feel trust. So selling, people are also, a side point is people are overwhelmed by being sold to. They're absolutely swamped by
fatigued.
And they are. They're absolutely fatigued. So it's refreshing when people are taking the time, because let's face it, if they're already there looking at your product, they're wanting to sell. So they don't need to be reminded of that. What they do want is they want to feel comfortable and they want to feel informed.
And surprisingly, people love information. They want the details.
Well, let's go back to the old adage of content is king online, and it is, and that ties in very closely to education and being educated.
And another really useful point
and
here,
and help too, I should say.
I was just going to mention a really useful point in relation to marketing to achieve these goals is infographics.
Yeah.
People love infographics, and also it's important to remember people are primarily visual learners, so that enables you to explain potentially complex points and data in a very easy way that's actually fun for the viewer to engage with.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. And so what's number 5?
Okay, well, the next one is investing some time, quality time in networking.
Yeah.
Now, Saul, what have you got to say about networking?
Well, what haven't I got to say about networking? Networking in all its real world sense and online sense, but specifically the real world. People in business. People like to meet other people. Business can be
it provides a great support structure also.
Yeah, it can be very isolating being in small business and just in business in general. So, from a number of perspectives, spending time doing that, feeling like as a learning experience, as obviously getting one of the primary ones to get business, but also getting the bigger picture understanding and perspective, I should say, on what other businesses are doing is completely invaluable. It's it's a great experience, and
plus there's a lot of opportunity for future leads.
Yeah, that's right. But also on a side note, it's also, you end up making friends in business too who are also friends. And that's, I think, an underplayed part of ultimately leads, because we're talking big picture here about long-term relationships and trust, not just, the hot, quick lead that you get in, you're in and out, and then there's really no meaning after that. You want to
again back to the garden metaphor of cultivation.
And you want to,
if you're friendships and relationships here, they will last a lifetime.
In that, being a farmer, like Ivan Meisner sort of said, the founder of BNI,
which is Business Networking International.
Yeah, that's right. That being a farmer, not a hunter. To nurture leads and to nurture everything in relation to business, not hunting for them.
Okay, well, that brings us on to point number 6 of ideas to help you grow your business this year, 2020 and beyond, is to find and innovate to create regular income streams with subscriptions and memberships. Now, the bane of small business is often cash flow, so regular income streams are incredibly valuable. Yeah,
they are. And this in 2020, and now for some time in this last, especially probably 5 or 6 years, even in the last 10 years, it's a fantastic time for online solutions. Not only for, selling products online, but it's an amazing time to start to think about, like for a lot of different businesses, about other things they can do to obviously to add those regular income streams, whether it's online courses is a really big one. Which used to be like the new kid on the block.
Like, for example, just with regards to membership, just when we were driving into Brisbane the other day, I saw a car washing place and it had a subscription, for big banner at the front, $39 a month, wash your car as often as you like.
Yeah.
So even those businesses. So this requires a little bit of taking time to think a little bit outside the box about how you can utilise your business to move forward to this repeating income structures.
And then also thinking, I guess a key thing there too is to not discount your business as not being a candidate for a potential subscription model for something. I mean, it might be that it's not quite appropriate, but it doesn't mean you can't think about it, because you might be surprised.
Mm-hmm. Well, that brings us on to number 7. And number 7 is an oldie but a goodie, and that is to make blogging a priority. Now, Saul, why is blogging so valuable for every business?
Okay, so blogging is for a few points. From a simple SEO perspective. Okay, so just from, if you take everything else out, having a blog on your website, and I'll say the disclaimer here is that a regularly updated blog, not just a blog, but something that you use to actually add valuable content, not spammy content that people will actually want to read, is ultimately content that search engines want to read too. And it can actually add really valuable level of trust, especially if you're doing it regularly over time. It's just, once again, there's that same theme again of nurturing and farming that keeps on cropping up, so to speak, all the time. And that's, and what else would you have to say as a person who's had a lot of experience?
Well, for people out there, obviously, if you're, feel comfortable with writing your own blog posts and you have time to write your own blog posts, of course, everyone in business is very time poor, so that can be a roadblock. So I would just say, if you can identify that, okay, this is a roadblock, just remember that you can use professional copywriters who are surprisingly affordable. We're talking about an article that may be 500 to 1,000 words long. The investment on that, even if you just did one article per month, and outsourced it to a trusted copywriter, and use that also with the blog, feature an image of your product or service. That's a very positive step that you can do to increase your business traffic. Okay, number 8 in the suggestions of ways to grow your business in 2020 is to sell packages of goods and services in addition to individual goods and services. Now, why are packages and innovations around the ideas of what constitutes a package a good idea, Saul?
Yeah, okay, so this is something I know we had, and I'm sure a lot of other businesses struggle with in terms of feeling that that's going to be, that it might cheapen, services if you put things into a package. But I think the reality is, and there's a lot of evidence to suggest that many people, not everyone, but many people are just looking for a simple solution.
They're busy too.
They are busy too, especially if they're small business people, and many of them are, who might be then coming to you for services. They might be running their own business as well. So they are time poor, and they know what they want, or they might know
and the budget,
what they want, but they might just want to be able to get a bit of perspective too on that. Ultimately, if it really requires you to, quote things up and put things into a presentation in a very specific way, that's not going to apply. But it doesn't mean that you can't have those put into a format for the people who like that.
And also that helps people who may not know a lot about your service. They know they need that service, but then they might know these extra things to ask for in the first place. Okay, so number 9, our last one, is to maintain work-life balance. Now, Saul, what are your New Year's resolutions in regard to work-life balance? Because we have a family, of course.
Yeah, and like a lot of people too. Like we know there's a lot of people who run small business who have kids of various ages. There's a lot of other activity going on, and you want to, as much as you can. Running a small business is a hard slog, there's no doubt about it, but at the same time you want to, where you can, work out your schedules and what you do when, and then what you don't do as well. Having work-life balance, I think an interesting flip side of that is that, in my experience, trying to do that in the best way possible can actually have a really positive effect on making the time that you do your work more optimized, because then you have to, because you've set that up. And with that last point in mind, that's actually it again for today, guys. Thank you so much for listening to our first podcast. And we will see you tomorrow with the next episode. Thanks again.
Bye, everybody.
And goodbye. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of Grow Your Business. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time here at the Grow Your